Gertrude Tommy Tompkins was flying right into a mystery that would haunt her family for decades to come. If you enjoy these stories about the women Air Force service pilots of World War II, the WASP, why not subscribe and maybe even give us a thumbs up? We'd appreciate it. Tommy was already falling behind when she gunned the engine of her P-51 fighter and lifted off over Santa Monica Bay in California. The afternoon was hazy, and by the time she reached 2,500 feet, she was already flying blind into a clinging fog that had been swirling in the wind for days over the waters west of Los Angeles. The Santa Monica Pier quickly had vanished, and now it was impossible to see the land or the water below. She was flying west, and in a few moments she would begin a near 180-degree turn, circling back over the airfield and then climbing to the east directly toward the 10,000-foot-high San Jacinto Mountains. With any luck, she'd catch up with those two other Air Force Service women pilots who had already taken off before. It was October 26, 1944. Tommy had been married a month and 10 days earlier had just celebrated her 32nd birthday, making her one of the oldest WASP pilots to fly during World War II. Youngest of 3 daughters, Gertrude, who preferred to be called Tommy, was an extremely shy child who developed a persistent and embarrassing stutter that brought her unwanted attention and, of course, teasing from her peers. Even into adulthood, she was withdrawn and had very few friends. Vreeland, her father, was a successful chemist who, after graduating from Rutgers University, invented a cement compound that he called Smooth-On. It was used to repair water and air leaks in commercial steam and hydraulic equipment. It was a comfortable life for his family and his daughters. They had the pick of the finest colleges and universities across the nation. However, perhaps because of her shyness, Tommy modestly chose the Pennsylvania School of Horticulture for Women in Ambler, Pennsylvania, just north of Philadelphia. Now there, her interest in farm animals and agriculture blossomed, especially for goats. She loved goats. She finally had found her calling, at least for the moment. For the next decade, when she wasn't home helping her father at his factory, Gertrude made frequent trips to all parts of the world, sometimes with the family, but usually she was alone. She wanted to see the world's farms and the world's gardens. She traveled to England, Italy, Spain, and France. She even made a trip to New Zealand and Australia, where she very diligently tried to convince Australian government officials to encourage farmers to raise goats instead of cattle, because, as she said, goats were better for the environment and also more nutritious. One of Tommy's sisters told a reporter that when Tommy was young, she fell in love with a pilot who was teaching her how to fly. No one remembers his name. Sadly, that young man felt a sense of duty, and rather than wait in the United States for them to enter the war, he joined the RAF as a fighter pilot, and not long after his arrival in England, he was shot down and killed by German pilots. Tommy loved to fly, and she soon found that aviation had a major advantage. She never stuttered when she was in an airplane. She never stuttered for the entire time of the WASP program. Airplanes became her newest calling, a fascination that, if you can believe it, eclipsed her love of goats. Tommy entered training at Avenger Field in Texas on May 23, 1943, and she was one of 59 out of 101 trainees to successfully graduate on November 13th. Her assignment, the 5th Ferrying Group at Love Field in Dallas, Texas. For nearly a year, she flew almost every type of airplane that was produced for the U.S. Army. After a month of training to fly the P-51 Mustang, she quickly added 46 hours of flying the P-51 to her over 800 hours of flying an airplane. Perhaps it was while Tommy was based at Love Field in Dallas that she met Technical Sergeant Henry Silver, a Yale graduate, and in his civilian life, a manager for a New York publishing company. The couple secretly married just a few weeks before Tommy was ordered to the Army Airfield in Long Beach. Now there, she was briefed on a P-51 delivery flight from Los Angeles to Newark, New Jersey, that she would fly with 2 other WASP women pilots. Once they reached Newark, these planes would be partially disassembled, put on ships, and then sent on to England, and from there into the European War. By 2 o'clock in the afternoon, October 26, 1944, Tommy and the 2 other WASP women arrived at Mines Field. That field would become part of Los Angeles International Airport, and at the time was home of the North American Aviation Factory. They were the builders of the P-51 fighter. Because WASP pilots were not allowed to fly at night, and the trio was leaving in mid-afternoon, the first leg of that flight would be ending for the night at Phoenix, Arizona. Now, Tommy was the 3rd woman on the flight line and scheduled to take off at 3:45. However, there was trouble with a canopy that wouldn't lock, and its subsequent repair delayed that takeoff until well after 4 o'clock that afternoon. She disappeared into that fog. No one was tracking her flight. No one even realized she was missing until 4 days later, when concerned Army officials at her home station, Love Field, simply asked, "Where is our pilot?" The next day, Air Force aerial searches began in the mountains and continued east into Arizona, while the Coast Guard searched Santa Monica Bay and the nearby Pacific Ocean, with help from the Civil Air Patrol. 3 weeks and over 1,000 hours of searching. The searching finally ended. Gertrude Tommy Tompkins had simply vanished. 3 subsequent organized searches in 1997, 2004, 2010, equipped with divers, electronic equipment, and a large group of volunteers clinging to hope, all failed to find Tommy. Some believed she fell into the bay while flying into that fog. Others said she may have crashed in the mountains, perhaps a canyon, and is hidden by the trees. Of the 38 women pilots flying on duty as WASP Air Force Service pilots during World War II, Tommy Tompkins is the only one still missing, the only one not accounted for at all, the only one not brought home to her family. If you enjoyed this true story about one of the 38 women Air Force service pilots, the WASP, take a look at that video if it's down below. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Have a great day and an even better tomorrow. Thanks.